Hey everyone, this is Zach. Sorry I have to overlay the sound like this. I actually lost the sound when making this video. So hopefully it still sounds okay. But this is the Chipotle Burrito Challenge, as you can see by the two burritos there. I was challenged by my good friend Brian Schulte to eat 2 of those burritos in 10 minutes. Now, he attempted this same challenge and was not successful. He did it in 15 minutes and still had about 4 or 5 bites left. So I'm going to try to beat that and do it in the time that was determined, which is 10 minutes. So I've got 2 burritos right there. One's a chicken and one's a beef, and they're both pretty hefty. I would say they're about 1.5 pounds each. One of them is the barbacoa, and it's got a little bit of the mild salsa and the hot, just to give it a little bit of flavor. Both have the fajita vegetables, both have rice, both have black beans. The other one is chicken, and you'll see that I've got my water bottle with me right there. At this point, I'm probably just explaining a little bit about what's going on with this challenge. I mean, you know, I'm a little bit nervous for it. It's not easy to eat that much that fast, and I know that most people probably wouldn't ever want to try this in their life, but I just thought, what the heck, why not? You know, I'm usually a pretty big eater. I can handle a good amount of food, but eating it fast is going to be tricky. So I think my strategy is going to be to try to plow through the first one as quickly as I can, so that way I've got some reserve time to work into the second one. So that first one I'm holding up is bigger. I'm going to save the smaller one for later, just so that way I can keep that it's not as daunting once I get to it. I've got my watch set, and I'm going to set them up kind of like, I'm going to wrap them like a diaper, so that way the contents don't fall out of the bottom, because it could get pretty messy. So I'm just about to start. Take a little piece of lettuce first. I've got it all unwrapped, ready to go. So I'll give kind of a count in just a second as to when I'm going to start. It should be in about the next 20 seconds or so. I think I'm about to start and then I get distracted. Yep, see? So you'll see me count in this time. 2, 1, and go. So you'll see that I'm doing kind of like a typewriter kind of deal as far as eating it. This was the barbacoa, so it had a sauce in it that I think made it easier to get down into my gut. So I was able to take in a lot more and swallow kind of at the same time as putting more food in. So it was like I was constantly pumping food into my stomach. So at this point I'm a minute in. Things are looking pretty good. I'm going to hold it up here. I'm about halfway done, just shy of halfway. The trick, though, is that the food tends to, the innards of the burrito tend to pile down towards the bottom as you squeeze the top, so you can't be deceived. It's that bottom half is definitely harder to finish more than the top half. But I kept dropping things, and that's what was getting really, really annoying. But onward I go. So at this point, I'm about 2 minutes in, which to me was pretty impressive. I was pretty impressed that I could chow down that whole burrito in what's looking like about 3 minutes. I always describe to people kind of the process it takes for me to get full. There's what I call 2 walls, and usually that first wall is when your typical person gets full. It's when they start to really feel that distension in their belly, and they're like, oh, you know, I'm good. And over the years, I've just been able to get past that, because naturally I get hungry again after about 5 minutes if I only eat up to that first wall. So this first burrito is kind of going to be what I would say is that first wall, so to speak. Again, I just kept dropping things. It was getting really annoying. But right here, I was able to kind of shove the whole burrito in and pick up the scraps from the bottom. So that's about 3 minutes in. So I'm really looking good, at least in my opinion. 3 minutes to down one whole burrito. That gives me 7 to finish up the second one. And it's smaller. So I just wanted to eat all the scraps just to make sure that there was no technicalities that I missed. So that's the second burrito I'm holding up. And I'm shaking my head just because, you know, I'm starting to feel a little bit, especially considering how fast I ate it. So I start to wash things down. Don't mind me shaking my head and all that. That's just me psyching myself up. So I dive into it. You know, I took about a good 30-40 seconds to get started on the burrito, which definitely set me back a little bit. But that first bite, you can see it in my face. This is definitely a lot drier. And that was not expected. I thought it would be a little bit more moist, which would definitely make it easier to get from the back of my mouth down into my stomach. But I realized at that point I'm going to have to slam down some water pretty much with every bite just to make sure I can get it in. And because it wasn't wet, everything was dry, everything fell out, it crumbled out. So that I definitely lost time trying to pick up some of the pieces. And you can tell this burrito was smaller because of how much extra tortilla that's left over. There's a lot more slack, so to speak. That first one was bursting out of its shell when they rolled it. So right now, I'm just shy of 5 minutes in. I'm about halfway there, and I'm feeling pretty good. So this is where I'm saying I get to, you know, a little bit further in, I approach what's called the second wall. And that second wall is like what you hit on like a Thanksgiving dinner. That's me holding up a 4.5 minute watch. But yeah, that second wall is like, you know, when you know you've eaten more than you should, and you're just absolutely, I mean, your gut, your chest is tight, your stomach is tight, everything is just super full. But I've kind of been able to work through that too. And once you get through that second wall, it actually gets a lot easier because you're able to kind of, it's almost like a numbness. That's how I describe it. You get kind of past that real tense feeling you get when you're full. And right there, I know I'm approaching that second wall because my chest tightens up. That's what happens. It's so much food getting shoved into my system that my body doesn't really know how to react. So I've been able to work through that, and now I'm definitely approaching that second wall. So you can see me kind of slowing down, chewing things a little bit more. I mean, it was tough. This is definitely a really tough part of it. I'm sitting in at about 6 minutes in, which, you know, I've got to step it up a little bit because I've got about half of that burrito left. So I really just lock it in. So I have to take pretty big bites and try to just wash it down with as much water as I can. So I guess I'm a little off in my saying. So 6:15. At this point, I kind of decided to stand because I wanted the food in my stomach to settle a little bit further down to make room for that last little bit to get in. I'm sitting pretty comfortably right now. I've got about just over 3 minutes left to finish up, which I think is really, really good time considering how fast I ate that first burrito. And you'll see me kind of pull the computer screen down to make sure that you can still see what I'm doing. Don't worry, I'm not choking. I promise I'm not choking. It was dry. So it was just catching in my throat, which was not a lot of fun. And at this point, as I sat down, I dropped a lot of pieces. It just kind of crumbled on me. So I had to pick up the scraps around the burrito first before I could reasonably continue. So at this point, I'm pretty much, with kind of getting up and sitting back down, I'm kind of right at that hump of the second wall. This is where I would say the majority of the people I know, at least in my small circle of life, would stop if they haven't already. This is where, you know, just plates in front of you, I'm done, no more. But I had, you know, I had 2 minutes left, and I've got only that much left. I have to power through. So that's what I do. So I just focused on taking a lot bigger bites, which to me, if it was a small bite or a big bite, it was going to feel the same going down into my stomach. So I just figured, I might as well take the big bites, really cut into that time. And this is me rallying myself. I don't know why, just being silly. It's kind of hard to see at this point, but I've got about maybe a couple bites left. That's mostly just the tortilla and then the innards that kind of fell out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jam that tortilla bit right here, which then takes it home easy for me because the rest I don't even have to chew. I can just throw it in and swallow. So I'm feeling really good because I know I'm going to beat this time. I knew I had it at that point. I wasn't even worried. It was just about chewing and getting it done because your jaws get tired too. Definitely, you know, when you're moving that much, you fatigue. So now I just have the innards left, which only took me about 2 or 3 bites to wrap up. And then this is me bringing it into home. Kind of wiping off the scraps on my fingers, chewing it all, because I knew I still had to get it down and swallow, which shouldn't have taken too long. But if you look at the clock, it says, that said 9:28. And that's me finishing it up at 9:30. So yeah, I earned it, man. I am darn proud of doing that. And I didn't even feel that bad as far as how full I felt. I think I was just tired and my mouth was really dry. So it was just eating it quick. That was the tough part for me because like I said, I don't normally pack in food that quick. If I had 20 minutes, I could have easily eaten the second one, for sure. And I did this video about 30 minutes before I just recorded this audio because I've been editing some of the music that you're hearing. And since then, I'm really not, I'm not really full. Like, looking back, making this video, I could actually eat another one. So I don't know, maybe I've got some weird wiring between my brain and my gut, but this was, I think, just the right challenge for me to get into because I was able to do it quick and I was able to do it in its entirety. So, Brian, there you go. This is for you. Challenge success. Chipotle, 2 burritos, 10 minutes. I think I knew I was going to be able to do it throughout. You know, I held them in my hand and I was like, okay, I've done this before. So I just kind of kept that confidence throughout eating it. And I never once let that feeling of fullness stop me. I just kept going, which certainly outlines the gluttony that plagues our lovely United States of America. But it's a feat. You got to be able to push through those walls. And I cleared that second wall. And that's the key. You clear that second wall and you're good to go. Because then you can just eat indefinitely. Like you said, you're numb. So right now, as I'm recording this, I feel like I could go run. And I'm being honest. So I'm a little bit of a goofball here. You'll see me stand up in a second, pat myself on the back. Naturally, I got to show the Buddha belly. Let you guys know how bloated I am upon finishing this challenge. So sorry in advance for my super pale skin. Don't take too much offense, everyone. So, here we go. Bask in its glory, everyone. So thank you guys for supporting me through this, or if you didn't, whatever. But I'm proud that I did it. See ya.